everyone, it's Daz, and like clockwork, so much is going on as always. I don't know if you guys have been on social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook Reels, or even YouTube, but there's a prevalence of videos of AI that almost looks realistic, but not quite. And I believe a lot of this is from Google, and some of it carries very heavy racial or stereotypical undertones. A lot of people are saying that this is a step towards them replacing regular influencers with AI. Just like certain brands like Fashion Nova are starting to use AI models rather than human models. And when there was those strikes in Hollywood a couple of years ago, a lot of them were worried about AI taking their jobs because anymore now you can make a AI look almost human. There are AI influencers that people don't even realize are fake. And then they realize they've been following an influencer and they thought it was a real person all along. But every now and then I'll scroll and I'll see Yeti or Bigfoot or an ape talking like a person. Or I'll see videos that the dialogue is just savage. It's crazy dialogue. And it looks like real people at a McDonald's or at a grocery store doing something crazy. It's really blurring the lines between fiction and reality. And a lot of this AI is pushing certain agendas, pushing certain viewpoints of certain groups of people. And it's crazy because for the longest time, this idea of the American dream, of meritocracy, of you can be anything you want to be, a lot of Gen Z realized, even millennials, that Nepo babies were the ones that were really having the edge. And a lot of their influencers and celebrities were all Nepo babies, not some random guy or girl who got lucky and discovered in a drugstore. Now it's not even going to be Nepo babies anymore. It's going to be AI. It's not even going to be a human. It's going to be bots that have all the fame. And some of these bots, they look and talk just like you and me, but there's usually something a bit off about them. But Google AI videos, again, are very realistic and they're pushing these ideas. I want to know what you guys think about the automation of entertainment when it comes to who's an influencer, who can be famous, who's a model, even our beauty standards being shaped by AI. Because now, with AI, you can make the perfect looking woman or man with the perfect body. No need to have your body worked out when AI could look flawless with just a few strings of code. Also, in other news, the big beautiful bill did pass in the House and Senate, and it's headed to Trump's desk probably by the time this video goes up, or a little after he'll sign it, which means that this is going to be some of the biggest tax cuts for the 1%. He's bringing back the 2017 tax cuts that were for the middle class, but you have to ask yourself, what is middle class today? I asked my husband, he thinks it's people that make 100K individually or more. I asked my brother, he thinks the same thing. Let me know what you define as middle class. But if that's the case, that's pretty dystopian because the average American will never see six figures individually. So if you're a house of two, then I guess you better make 200K, and if you have kids, even more. I know in sociology back in the day, we said 1% was defined as 250K or more. However, even to make $100,000 is not common for the average person. That's why it's always interesting, like when they do those interviews of women and they all like kind of like feeling like they need a 6 foot man, feel like they need a six figure man, when all of those things, a lot of them are very scarce statistics to come by in men and in women. Anymore though, there are people that are making that much, and because of debts that they have, spending habits, they're still not able to hardly afford. But when I think about it, to really have a decent newish car, like I drive a 2006 Nissan Altima. I've been driving it for 9 years and it's like 19 years old. And I'm glad I don't have car payments. I don't have AC right now, so that's rough, but I can roll down my windows. I don't have Bluetooth. I'm used to new cars because when I used to travel for work, I did a lot of rentals and I got to experience newer models of cars. And a new car is nice, but like the car payments these days are insane. But to have like a newer car, if you're not going to pay for it in cash or outright and you take out a loan, these car payments are getting more and more out of hand and more crazy. And then rent, the average rent in the United States, I believe, is like $2,100. Just like the average home price is $400,000, or like 300, high 300,000. So just thinking about that, you would need like a really good income and be able to save most of what you make, which a lot of people can't because they're absorbing a lot of their funds into their cost of living. Because the cost of living has gone way up because of this debt, which this new bill is going to increase our national debt by $3 to $5 trillion, despite all the Doge cuts. So it's going to be interesting. Also, Alligator Alcatraz was built in 8 days, which is crazy, and it already is flooding. And there's concerns that when it's hurricane season, it's going to be a death zone because it all it'll take is a hurricane to sweep by, and everyone in there will get flooded. It's eerily similar to me when I think about American history and we talk about Black Americans and alligators in the South, or if we go back to Egypt and Israel and talk about throwing the children of Israel into the Nile to alligators. Alligators have long been used as animals to eat people that they don't deem desirable, whatever the society is. And right now, that is people that are here illegally. And a lot of people's temporary status ended. So that was a lot of Venezuelans, that was a lot of Haitians, and even this whole birthright decision. What President Trump said about how it applies to the 14th Amendment and that people have been scamming the system for years, he reiterated the fact that it was meant for the descendants of slaves. He said the babies of slaves. So that basically means that newly freed Black Americans after slavery, and then everyone else outside of that who's used it, who had parents that were from another country, he's disputing that. Unless, of course, they got their citizenship a legal way and then had their kids, that's different. But the reason why we even have birthright citizenship the way we think of it apparently goes back to a case that occurred where a Chinese man disputed his citizenship because he was born to Chinese nationals, but because of having a lot of Chinese immigrants here during the time of building railroads, they granted that he was a citizen. And so other groups have since used it. And there are people that do come to the US knowingly pregnant from other countries and give birth because they know that they'll have a baby that is now a US citizen, which can make it easier if they want to go to college or have other relatives come here. That's been a real thing. So for him to take away birthright citizenship and for the court to agree, there's still states, though, that are blue that will contest him and have lawsuits out, but it's going to change a lot in how that's you. And they said at least one parent has to be a U.S. citizen, not both. So that was another thing. But so much is happening on the forefront right now, and some people are comparing like the alligator Alcatraz. They say it looks kind of like Auschwitz. What's happening is very, very unique, but it also feels kind of like we've seen this before. Even figures like Laura Loomer on the far right, who has said all kinds of crazy derogatory things in the past, said that the alligators could get 68 million people for lunch. So the amount of illegal immigrants that there are is not the same as that high number. People figure it out quickly. She's talking to the entire Hispanic population, but yeah, this is a crazy time to live in. And I definitely feel like what Trump's bill is going to do as far as our economy goes, I know more people are going to be cut off of SNAP and off of Medicaid, and they're going to continue the child tax credits. But a lot of people like me, I should say, that don't have children who are childless, it's not necessarily going to be the same. But they're also going to take off tax on tips and no tax on overtime. So for those working overtime up to a certain amount, I used to work a lot of overtime, but now I stopped. So that part will be good for some, but there's just a lot that's going to shift in the next coming years from all of these policy shifts, and even from what's happening with our demographic shifts as well. But I'd like to know what your thoughts are on the AI, on what's happening with the big beautiful bill, what's happening with our new policies involving immigration and birthright, or anything else that's going on in the world. Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it informative. Take care, and God bless.